not sure what I did there. Well, welcome. I want to welcome everyone tonight. Thank you so much for coming. This is, as I'm sure you have noticed, a beautiful facility. It is everything that the building of the future should be. And this company has been committed since 1987 to everything the future should be. Steve Melink founded the company in 1987. They produce a product, but more than a product, they produce an ethic, an environmental ethic, sustainability, how to run a business and be environmentally sound at the same time. And not only has he shown that in his business, but he has also written 2 books, one of which is available back at the table, which explain his philosophy and how he has taken that philosophy and built a business and also helped other business leaders to do the same. I teased him that this is the first time I've probably introduced anyone that I could say someone who needs no introduction, but because I'm sure most of you are familiar with Steve, we thank him for his hospitality tonight. Our other sponsors, I'm wearing my Electrata hat because Electrata has been a very generous sponsor of the Green Energy Ohio Tour this week, and also because it rained all day. So this is the last event on our 3rd day of the statewide Green Energy Ohio Electric Vehicle Tour. We've been in Northeast Ohio, we've been to a Harley dealership, we've been to companies like Scheffler in Worcester, we've been to Warren, to Voltage Valley, and then earlier today in Dayton, and now here in Cincinnati. Tomorrow we go to Athens, and we conclude our tour on Friday in Columbus. So I would like then to have Steve come up and give you a few words and make an introduction, and there you go.
Thank you, Jane. Thanks everybody for coming. Welcome to our Melink HQ2. We've given a couple tours, but for those who weren't able to make that, this is a net zero energy facility, which means that we're not burning any fossil fuels here. It's carbon free. And in fact, we're generating more clean energy on site through the solar canopy that you saw above the parking lot than we use on average during the course of the year. So, someone asked, well, how much did it cost? It cost about 10% more than it would have if we had built a conventional code compliant building, which that was our main goal, to show that it could be done at a reasonable cost premium so that more architects, engineers, building owners, and contractors would rally around this idea that all new buildings should be designed and built to be net zero energy. So, we've got lots of cool things. Hopefully you've learned a lot about what green buildings entail. It's not only about energy, but it's about health, right? So it's about healthy air, having windows that can open up and have ample access to fresh air, ample natural light, views to the outside that hopefully inspire people to want to do their best work here at our company. But of course we're here to celebrate the Green Energy Ohio EV Tour event. Jane Harf, she's the executive director. I would like to recognize and thank her for not only organizing this tour, but I've known her for many years as a longtime advocate and friend for all things sustainability and clean energy. So we're hosting this event here in Cincinnati, but she's doing work all across the state, as she mentioned. So let's give her a round of applause. Also, in these opportunities that I have to speak, like today, I have rarely, if ever, really recognized the person who is an unsung hero in helping make this long journey since 1987 happen. And that person happens to be here, and she's my wife, Mary Frances Melink. If you could stand up, please. And EVs are the way of the future, aren't they? If anybody who hasn't driven an EV, you don't know what you're missing. They're faster, they're quieter, they have lower operating costs, less maintenance. They're fun as heck to drive, and I don't have to worry about ever going to a gas station anymore. I just charge my car at night, and so I never have to get out in the cold weather or when it's raining or whatever and fill up the tank, so to speak. So unless I'm making a long trip, and then I go to a Tesla supercharger, and I can do that in 30 minutes and get a sandwich or a coffee or whatever while I'm doing that. But make no mistake, EVs are the way of the future, and I think the fact that Tesla is the most viable car company in the world and every auto manufacturer is racing to try to catch up with them is testimony to that. And so if you're even thinking about getting a car, I hope you will give serious consideration to looking at more and more models that are coming into the market, because I want us as consumers to help drive this clean energy revolution. We just can't wait for the producers of the clean energy to drive it. We as the consumers can be savvy consumers, smart consumers who are creating the demand, forcing the manufacturers, the utilities to give us what we want. So, I would like to introduce to you Irina Filipova. She's with Electrada. She's one of the sponsors of this event today. And so, Irina, if you would like to say a few words, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve, for hosting this wonderful event this evening. Thank you, Jane, for all your enthusiasm and lasting at least 3 days, 2 more days of the EV tour. And Mayor Cranley, delighted that you are with us as well here tonight. Great to have this opportunity to talk to you all. Electrada started its operations right here in Cincinnati in the midst of the pandemic. And it was so great that today at the zoo in the pouring rain, thanks to the tireless efforts of Drive Electric Ohio, where's Gary? We got to do some drives and rides in actual EVs in person. So we're very happy that finally we're post-pandemic and it's back to normal. Electrada's vision is every community connected by clean, reliable electric transportation. And we harness our collective energy to bring solutions actually to the table to our communities, be it residential, public, or commercial opportunities. Since our launch, we've worked tirelessly to ensure that our region had reliable EV charging infrastructure available. So you could see some of our chargers at destinations such as Findlay Market, the Cincinnati Art Museum, the zoo, powered by solar panels, and a lot of residential communities, especially multi-unit dwellings, where folks just don't have the opportunity to buy an EV and transition to an EV because they don't have chargers. But so much more needs to be done for us to actually be able to transition to this new EV way of living and driving. There's many more models obviously coming off the conveyor belts here in the US and US market, about 100 models over the next 2 to 3 years. And we need this infrastructure to be able to make this transition happen. So every organization, every business, every fleet, really every municipality, every community needs to make this commitment to this electric vehicle transition now so that we can make it happen. And this future that you talked about, Steve, is actually at our doorstep. So I just love to call on every one of you and your respective organizations to really push for this transition to happen. and to be able to embrace this new future, this new normal, in a sustainable and cleaner and quieter transportation that we're expecting to see. Jane, thank you very much.
Okay, our headline speaker this evening is someone who's very influential in Southwest Ohio. He believes that being part of something bigger than oneself is how to lead a meaningful life. Inspired by family and faith, he believes that public service should prioritize the common good to leave the world better than we found it while helping those in need. He attended St. Xavier High School. He earned degrees from John Carroll University, Harvard Law School, and Harvard Divinity School. He has committed the city of Cincinnati to a broad array of clean energy initiatives to help fight climate change, and has raised the profile of our city as a national leader in all things sustainability. I'm honored and proud to introduce to you our Cincinnati Mayor, John Cranley.
Can you guys hear me? Well, first of all, I drove here in my Tesla. How about that? And before that, I owned a Chevy Volt, which was great, but they discontinued it, unfortunately. And the Tesla's just awesome. You know, a couple years ago, Bono, my favorite rock musician from U2, from Ireland, where my people come from originally, he wrote an article that said, whatever happened to American cool cars? When is American innovation, entrepreneurialism, cutting edge? And for decades, we were used to worry that foreign cars were going to beat us. America is back. Tesla is an American company, American entrepreneurialism, American innovation, American future. I want to thank first Steve Melink, an unbelievable pioneer in renewable solar energy. Let's give him a round of applause. I mean, this guy's been lighting up the zoo for years and was with solar before solar became affordable and cool and awesome. And he's a big part of our future. I want to thank Jane Harf for her leadership in organizing today. Let's give her a round of applause. And Electrata, we can't have a beer at Mad without getting a hookup for my Tesla. What you're doing is amazing, and it's part of the supply chain of new jobs and opportunities for the whole state. Electrata, let's give them a round of applause. Well, look, there's a lot of good news, and there's some bad news I want to share. The good news is that Green Energy Ohio is doing the right stuff. It's focused on the future, on innovation, on jobs, on saving the planet, on human existence. And as you may know, the city is invested in an incredible green plan. The city of Cincinnati is going to be carbon neutral by the end of this year, 2021. Carbon neutral, the first city in America that will put as much energy in the grid from solar as we consume to provide everything from the lights in my office to producing water for all of greater Cincinnati. That takes a lot of energy. We even pump water in northern Kentucky. We want them to have clean water too. And that takes a lot of energy to pump that water. But we will be building, we are building right now, it's under construction in Highland County, the largest city-led solar project ever in America. It is the size of 750 football fields. It includes 330,000 individual solar panels. It is putting to work 130 IBEW electrician union workers who are going to make on an annualized basis $62,000 a year, a middle-class life. It is in one of our smallest, most rural counties, and so many of our rural small counties in Ohio have been losing economic opportunity, jobs, wages, and these are bringing new jobs to rural Ohio. There's an incredible future here in Ohio in clean energy. Did you know that right now, there's no state in America that has more people working in the wind turbine supply business? We lead the country in capacity for manufacturing of wind turbines. We're the greatest manufacturing state in the country. So we have a lot of incredible assets and talents and possibilities. But there are some bad news I meant to tell you. I said at the beginning of this meeting, I'm going to share some of that bad news. First, a couple years ago, we all stood together to fight this HB 6, the worst bill in the history of the state of Ohio. The only state in America to ever have renewable portfolio standards and to gut them, to get rid of them. Outrageous. A state that has more, like I said, wind turbine jobs than any state in America, and our leaders in Columbus are saying, we don't want that anymore, we're done. Second, just last week, the Republicans in the state are introducing legislation to make it impossible to do more solar projects in Ohio. NIMBYism at its worst. The party of individual rights and property rights, and I can make money with my own property, all of a sudden they're against that. They want the government to tell people what they can and can't do with their property. They seem to be for individual rights unless it comes to women's bodies or people's property if they're invested in clean energy. That's not the American way. The American way is letting individuals pursue opportunity. And the best of American history is when we marry opportunity with what's better for the planet, for the world, and for people. And there are a lot of farmers in this state that have been hurting for decades under failed leadership. You'd realize that for 32 years, the Republicans have had effective control of the state of Ohio. 32 years. And when they took over, the average Ohioan made more money than the average American. Now the average Ohioan makes 89 cents on the dollar to the average American. It's been a disaster. Disaster. There's only two places in the whole state that are growing: Cincinnati and Columbus. And only Cincinnati is a comeback story. Every other part of the state is going down. Well, I know Columbus is doing great, and we're doing great because we've embraced things like clean energy. We've embraced things like public transit. We've embraced things like electric vehicles. Michael, how many electrical vehicles do we have in our fleet?
21 currently in service and looking to purchase more next week.
This is Michael Forrester. Give him a round of applause. He runs our environmental office at the city. We're so committed to the environment that his last name is Forrester. And we're planting trees. In fact, we just doubled our urban canopy to reduce asthma and to give great opportunities in our urban core. My middle name is Appleseed, and so I'm a big believer in planting more trees. But here's the thing, because this is going to get a lot of attention over the next couple of years. We did this project in Highland County. We broke ground on solar. It's really awesome. And it got a lot of press in Hillsborough in Highland County. And there was this guy who's actually running against DeWine in a Republican primary named Joe Blystone, who came out against it and organized a rally against it. And there are all these folks in this newspaper article that were against it. So we weren't sure when we went to this event if there was going to be protests or what was going to happen. Not only were there no protests, these multi-generation farm owners and all of their cousins said this is the best thing that's happened to them in decades. The opportunity to make more money by leasing their land for solar. You know who else was there? The school board and the superintendent. Because the taxes that are going to be paid in property tax to the schools are going to give hope and opportunity and better education to the people of Hillsborough and Highland County. And you know who else was there? All 3 county commissioners, all of whom are Republican. All of them are probably way more conservative than me. And they were there to celebrate this project. It's good for Highland County, good for the farmers, good for their property taxes, good for the school district, etc. And so once again, we have leadership in Columbus listening to a tiny minority of people who are standing against individual rights, property rights, clean energy, and jobs. And it's obvious that that agenda has failed Ohio, has failed rural Ohio and rural America, and is failing America. And so what you guys are doing today is super important, because we have to build a movement that embraces electric vehicles, all the parts and jobs and opportunities that go along with electric vehicles, and we need to build a cleaner energy economy. And of course, that will include compromise along the way. In fact, to be clear, the Cincinnati plan, we get to 100% carbon neutral for the city of Cincinnati because we're aggregating on behalf of all of our residents. Steve made an interesting point, a great point, that private sector individuals like him can choose a 10% premium and make this place carbon neutral. We're not paying up. Our project is about 20% of all the energy we aggregate on behalf of our residents. It just so happens to equal the amount of energy that we consume as a city government, but we're buying it on behalf of all of our residents too. So it's not true that everyone in our city is carbon neutral. It's the equivalent of what the city government consumes. But here's the thing, we're saving money because solar is now cheaper 20% of the time, maybe even 25% of the time. And in 5 years, it'll be 30% of the time and more and more. And so natural gas and other things are gonna be part of the mix. But here's the rub. It saves money. What excuse does anybody have not to do 20%? You could argue for a premium. We're not paying a premium, but you could argue for it on moral grounds. But economically, we are saving money. So why isn't every state, every local government, every city in Ohio, every municipality, every county, and we as a group have got to say, do it. I've been hard on the Republicans today, but I know every Democrat, I'm a Democrat, that preaches clean energy. What are they doing? What's every local official doing? What is every county commissioner doing? Every major institutional leader has the power to do what we do, which is to decide how to procure energy and to diversify it in a way that brings clean and renewable energy. So yeah, we'll hold this craziness in Columbus accountable and promote the individualism and innovation and freedom that's made America great and gives people and farmers a chance to make money and make the economy and the environment better. But we also have to keep the pressure on the local government. Because regardless of what Washington does and what Columbus does, major industrial users of energy like Fifth Third, who went all solar, congratulations to them, let's applaud them. Our effort with the Green Umbrella and Ryan Mooney and her effort to get businesses to commit to reduction of carbon footprint, we all have a part to play, and there's no excuse not to act at the local level, and that's what we have done. So it is awesome to be here. Thank you for doing this tour, and let's keep this work going. Thank you very much.
Green Energy Ohio hat for you. So thank you so much. Your remarks were so on point in terms of what this means for the future, for business, for economic development, for the environment. There's no area in which clean energy doesn't actually improve our lives. Thank you for being here. I want to end tonight by thanking the team here who put together this event, Gary, Heaton was the lead of our Cincinnati working group. We could not have done any of this without an amazing group of volunteers who spent time over the last 6 months planning these events. And Scott Miller, board member, Green Energy Ohio, who chaired the working group and we have worked hand in hand. I've worked with Scott in many different capacities for many years, and I'm so pleased that we're able to work together again on Green Energy Ohio initiatives. We have 2 other board members here, Chris Meyer, who was president of the board at one point, Bob McAllister, where's Bob? Bob's over there, Bob McAllister, a new member of the board. Anybody else that I'm forgetting or missing? I hope not. But in any event, we could not do any of this without all of you. So I'm gonna put in a plug. We have some materials available. If you wanna join Green Energy Ohio, we can make that really easy for you. And we hope to see all of you at another event very soon. Thank you.